I'm Angelina, the Chief Curator of Poster House, and one thing a bunch of people have been asking for a long time is that I do a video on how to tell originals from reproductions. And that's actually a really complicated thing to do because there are three layers to that question. First, there are contemporary printings, which you can get on Amazon, and nobody expects, like the muka you buy on Amazon, no one expects it to be real. So those are really easy to tell. The difficulties happen in the second two options. The first being a reproduction. Those are usually done by like an artist's estate or a printer, and they're usually done really nicely, so like a silkscreen or a lithograph. And to the untrained eye, that can be actually really difficult to tell an original from a reproduction. Then there are like out-and-out forgeries, which are impossible to tell unless you really know what you're looking for, and those are actually really hard to find. But again, you have to find those reproductions or fakes to compare and contrast with an original, and they don't really come up all that often. But maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a video at the Gallery Saint-Etienne where I showed Heine's Simplicissimus, and then I remembered that in this book by Helmut Rademacher, that there is a really, really good reproduction of the Simplicissimus dog involved. So I'm going to show this to you and then tell you how you can tell the original from the reproduction. So this is the deluxe version. So it comes in a box set, and there's the actual book, which is an amazing reference book, by the way. I used to use this all the time when I worked at an auction house. And then there's this little portfolio inside. And inside the portfolio are a selection of posters that the author felt were important. And one of them is the Simplicissimus dog. So if you go back and look at that video I did at the Gallery Saint-Etienne and compare it with this, you're going to see a few differences. First, the one I did at the Gallery Saint-Etienne was like the double dog format. And in that format, if someone just sliced it in half, it would bleed on this side. But this is the single dog format, so there's a border all the way around. That's fine. The only problem is the single dog format, when it was actually printed a year later as just a single dog, didn't have the 10 Pfennigs writing here. It also didn't have the name of the printer at the edge. This would be on the right side of the double dog format. In the single dog format, the printer is in the margin. So those are two like big tells. The other tell is if you're looking at a poster when it's been linen backed, you'll still see the lines where it was folded. In this particular version, the reproduction, the line is not through the dog directly. It's like kind of off to the side. So if you measure this and it's approximately like 4 or 5 inches from the edge, then you know it was the one that was involved in the portfolio, not the one that was originally printed. The other obvious tell is that on the back, if it is not linen backed, there is a stamp saying, or it's been printed, saying that it is like the supplemental edition to Das Deutsche Plakat, the book in question. So that is how you tell the original from the reproduction of the very famous and very beloved Simplicissimus dog.